All right, so welcome everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kate Mueller. I am the Chief Product Owl and Resident Cheesemonger here at KnowledgeOwl. And today we get to talk for the second time in the last couple months about topic display categories. Excitingly, because it is an area that we have been expanding on and building into. And I'm particularly excited to share today's expansion, which is that we have added a tab display option to topic display categories. In the past, to get tabs was to add some snippets and like make sure you formatted stuff very specifically, and the implementation was always a little bit brittle. And so we're very excited to have it actually natively built into topic display categories as an option. As part of that, we also mildly rearranged some things in the category editor. So I'm going to walk through both the tabs display option itself and the couple little changes that you might notice in category editor as a result of that, just to make them slightly less mystifying or confusing. Let me share my screen. All right, so can everybody see my screen? I am in KnowledgeOwl in the category editor itself right now. All right, beautiful. So here's the teaser of what happens when you have a topic display category using tabs layout. It will take each article within that category. It will use the article title as the tab label, and then it will display all of the content that is within that article underneath the tab. And navigating through those will also update the URL to be whatever is specific for that article. So you can direct someone very clearly to a particular tab within that topic display category. This is a very simple implementation, but we're going to walk through a lot of the various settings and options that you have for this. So a couple quick notes on this. First and foremost, those of you who are very familiar with category editor are going to notice a slight change in this section. So it used to be that we only had display options here, followed by table of contents options, and that the accordions option lived in display options. And we have now added this new layout options section. So default is what our original topic display category behavior has always been, which is that it will basically display all of the article's full content with each article title as a heading level 2 within it, and just display them all on one page. We've moved accordions up here since that impacts the layout. So if you select accordions and save, that will create an accordion section where each article is an expandable collapsible accordion, and the article title is what's used as part of that control. And tabs will get us back to the tabs display that I was originally showing. So that basically impacts the overall layout of the category itself. And then we've kept some of the other options that influence the behavior of what's happening there in this display options setting. So that includes the new intro article feature that we have, which once you check that, the very first article in the category becomes the sort of pretext or introduction to the category, and the rest of the content appears below it. That also includes the option for quick links, which is like a little bit of a table of contents, as well as some behavior that just sort of impacts how people can navigate to articles, which titles get displayed, and that kind of thing. All of these display options will work with any of the layout options. So I can say I want a default thing with quick links and no intro article. That will work. I could use those exact same settings with tabs. I don't know why you would want to use quick links with tabs, but it does work. You can do it. It will generate the quick links and the tabs all together. Each permutation here should work with no major issues. Let's see. So with that said, since I'm talking specifically about tab things today, we're going to focus on tab things. a couple things about this implementation overall. We have opted to support whatever you want to throw in here. So it's a little bit buyer beware. If you have 20 articles in here, we will do our best to handle 20 articles. It won't look pretty, but we will do our best to try to do it. Behind the scenes, we use CSS grid here, so it will adjust the tab size based on the number of tabs and the screen dimensions. So for example, here they get split out really nicely because there's 3 and I'm viewing it on my whole screen. If I adjust this to use a mobile device, hold on, let me refresh. Here, we'll still do the 3 tabs, but you'll see that the tabs end up being taller because we don't have space to fit the full titles all the way around. And in some cases, it will actually create multiple rows of tabs on mobile devices in particular if you have a lot. So there is this element of, if you're using tabs display, you're going to want to go view that category after you make the changes and see how all of that looks and see if there are ways that you might want to make adjustments here. So for example, let me publish a few more articles in this category just so that I get some more tabs to work with out here. All right, so here I've now got 7. And you'll see I have this one article here that has a much longer title, and having to wrap that title to fit the tabs in is what's making my tabs suddenly super, super tall. So tip number 1, which I would strongly recommend if you've got long titles and multiple tabs, is to head into the topic display category settings and check this box to use short article titles. Most of us aren't very familiar with short article titles. It's basically an option we have with both categories and articles that you can add a shortened version of that title, which generally only gets used in the table of contents display to keep it a little bit shorter, but we will also use it here in the topic display category if you select that option. So what that looks like is, if I hop into my super long titled 4th article, I have a much longer title, and I set a short article title here and I save it. And I come back out to my topic display category and refresh, it will use that short title here. Pretty much everywhere else, such as search results, type ahead search, you will still see the full title. The short title gets used only in places where like space might be cramped and at a premium. So reviewing any articles you have in a topic display category that's using tabs, definitely worth adding short titles there, potentially also worth doing it with accordion layout, depending on how insanely long your titles are going to be there. And here, this will give me a way better example of what happens on a small device. Hold on. Try this in another browser. The browser behavior is slightly different here, so here's my this is what I want. Yes. Oh no, it is doing what I want over here. I'm just not paying attention to it. Okay. Let me get back in there on these things. I don't think it'll let me zoom because of this. So let me make this a little bit. It is just so not going to let me do this because of how it's impersonating. There we go. Okay. So you'll see I've now sort of wrapped my tabs onto 2 rows to be able to fit all of them. This is what it will do in the responsive layout. So it is kind of worth giving some thought to how many tabs you're working in, how long the articles titles are on that, or whether you're using short article titles, and like whether the wrapped tabs are a problem for you. We will do our best to handle whatever you throw in here, and try to handle it elegantly, but it is definitely one of those cases where it's great as a content creator to come in and evaluate them and be sure that the way that you have set them up actually presents in a way that makes sense. Additional resources that might be useful here. We have added a little bit of information into our support knowledge base in, what is it? I think it's in look and feel. Yep. It's called topic display style your tabs. So by default, we will use a fairly minimalist color palette and um, like a fairly thin gray border and that kind of thing here. If you are interested in customizing that, I've provided some custom CSS that you can grab and then alter to work on changing colors. So if you want to change like the color of the tab that's active or the color of the inactive tabs or the color of them when you hover over them or the font color on these, you can apply some global CSS that will change that anywhere that you are using the tabs the tabs layout option for topic display categories. Too many places that can use the word display and layout here. But that's basically it in a nutshell. It'll grab each article, it'll generate the tab for it, use short article titles to tweak your tab labels a little bit as you see fit. It will still work with things like the intro article, which will display above the tabs. So you can play around a little bit with having an intro, having the tabs underneath it. We are using this a couple places in our live support knowledge base. So one example I can think of offhand would be synonyms. Nope, would not be synonyms. Yes, would be synonyms. So here I actually have a fairly long intro article. And then here is where the tab structure is coming in. So these are actually the articles that aren't the intro article here. So you can get a feel like it can seem like you've tucked this tab section in fairly far down into an article, depending on how much content you put into that intro up above. The shorter the intro article, or if you don't use intro article, the tabs will be nice and high and displayed very quickly in the user interface. And with that, I'm going to pause. Did we get any questions in via chat that I should answer before we stop recording? Has anybody thought of questions that they would like to lob at me before we stop recording? I will assume that crickets means no. All right.